Yes. Does it work?
Are you sure?
No. And we'd have to share that one as well.
You want to share both?
No, we'd have to share that one. I mean, we could just drag the window though.
Yeah, we should share. We should share the second. We should share this.
Yeah, go ahead, go ahead. Oh, hold on. Cooking.
Oh, that's actually nice.
All right, let's see if it's working. Yeah. Yeah, okay.
I feel that.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, I think. All right. It is just about 6:30 here. I will say, if you intend to participate, to code along, which I definitely recommend, just have an editor of your choice ready. I'm using VS Code. It does not have to be VS Code. It can literally be the notepad on your computer. I mean, I would rather recommend VS Code, but yeah, we'll get started in a few minutes. And also, yes, in the Discord, there's a link to this website, which we'll be following along. And that way it is a lot, so we're not going to do all of it. We're just gonna kind of hit the highlights of what you need to know to kind of do the rest of it all, maybe on your own time. But yeah, make sure you open this website because manually typing out everything takes a while, so we're just gonna be copying, pasting. And I'll wait like 2 minutes for people to come in and then we'll start. I mean, you could. I think it's probably fine. The weird thing about this building is like the floors, I feel like.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they did it first as well. All right, I think we're about to get started. Also, at any point, if you need help with anything, Philip should be coming back in soon. Just raise your hand and I'll tell him to come around to you guys. Because I don't like last time, it was a lot of like questions at the end, and I felt bad that people were like hanging on to these questions for the whole workshop. Like if you have something, just raise your hand. We'll help you out. It's definitely like not a dumb question. Because when you're learning this stuff for the first time, a lot of it is just not super intuitive. Wait, let's turn this music off. Okay, how many of you guys have any experience with like HTML and CSS? Okay, so that's like a good half or so. Yeah, basically, if you don't know, HTML and CSS are the fundamental languages that websites are built in. Whereas when you're writing programs, you might be using Python or JavaScript or C++. When you're writing websites, and at the end of the day, it's all just going to be HTML for the bare bones constructions and CSS for making stuff look pretty. And also you can integrate JavaScript to make things interactive. Philip drew this little diagram to explain the difference between the three. If you can't see it, I'll just do my best to describe it, I suppose. HTML, it's like this flat bed of a car. It's really only like the bare bones like frame of what your finished product will be. CSS is that kind of bare bones car after you like made it look nice, right? This is something that you would want to like see on a website, right? And JavaScript is what you use to actually give the car its engine and let it drive. And that's how you give that like interactivity to your websites. So as far as what we're going to be doing from this tutorial, the first thing we're going to actually cover is the nav bar, because if you scroll down, you can actually see that you can use JavaScript to animate the nav bar, meaning that even if we only start with that, we get to cover all three of our languages just with that piece. And then from there, we'll expand the actual like rest of the content on the website. So we can skip all the way down here. Folder structure, don't worry about it. We're going to be using 3 files, HTML file, a CSS file, and a JavaScript file. So as simple as possible. So don't even worry about this. We're going to be doing a lot of copy pasting because especially like CSS and HTML, both of them can just get really repetitive and we don't have that much time. So like, yeah, get used to it, get used to it here. But with that being said, I think we're going to get started. Again, make sure you have an editor open or just any way to edit files because we're going to need that. And we're going to start, maybe I should move this on, by creating a file. We'll just call it like index. And then the important part, .html. Boom. Okay. And so these HTML files, unsurprisingly, will store HTML code, which your computer will recognize, oh, this is what we can use to display a website to. And this, we can copy this whole boilerplate function into this file. And most of this we won't be using. For example, like these icons, we don't need. The styles we will need. I don't think we're doing this either. I'll keep it in just in case. These scripts also don't care about. But yeah, but our own scripts we do want to keep. So we'll just save that. So currently this doesn't have much in it. And you might also see that how this file is set up is a lot different to how your typical like coding file is set up. Normally, if you're writing, you know, Python, you might have like classes or whatever, variables defined, and you have like maybe a main function, something like that, which runs all your code. HTML is instead composed of these nesting tags, right? And so the entire thing is at first encompassed within this HTML tag, which, yeah, basically just tells the browser, like, this is all the HTML we want you to use. And then that's further divided into the head and the body. The body is where we're actually going to like put our code, the actual stuff that's going to be shown on the website is going to go into the body. And you can see that with the head, we're doing stuff like importing our styles and basically just setting up the formatting of the file. So nothing like you actually see on the website for the most part. And we can actually see our changes if we open let's go here. It's on my desktop. If you open this might just open automatically. Firefox. There we go. You can open the HTML file with your like preferred browser just by opening up the file. Again, because it's a .html, your browser will recognize it. and it will show you the updated website. Now do keep in mind, you can't just, after you save it, you have to like reload here to see your changes. You can get like extensions in VS Code, which make it a little bit easier, but we're not going to focus on this now. So you can really see it's completely blank, and that's because, like I said, there's nothing in the body. The one thing that you might see that stands out is this up here. It just says Jane Doe web developer, and that's actually because of this little title that we have inserted in our head up here. So you can, if you change this to whatever you want. Oops. Like this. And you save this and then reload this, you can see that it will actually update in your browser. Oh, sweet. All right. Everyone cool with that? Was everyone able to get their environment set up? Okay. Also, Philip, I did tell them if anyone ever raises their hand, just like go on and help them because, yeah. Oh yeah. By the way, next Tuesday, I think 6 to 8, right? We're hosting a movie night with the programming team and Wixie. So come by if you feel like it. It'll be fun. And then week after that's another workshop, so on and so forth. You know how it is. All right. So like I said before, we're starting with a navbar. A lot of the stuff we probably won't do, but I guess it probably won't hurt to keep the comments in for now. And we can copy and paste this in here. And you can see once again that we have another nested tag here, the nav tag. And this also includes various elements. Now, this on its own doesn't do anything. It's basically just providing a structure for all these other elements to fall under. And what are these elements? Well, first you have the H1, which essentially is just a header. So we're making a header that says Jane Doe. Whenever you just see text in there, that is literally just text that's being displayed on the website. Then we have a UL, which stands for an unordered list, which has a bunch of elements inside, A elements, which are actually links. You see we have 4 of these within this unordered list. And then a button, which is supposed to be a burger menu. So enough yapping. If we save and reload, we can actually see that we have this header up here. We have an unordered list of 4 bullets that have links. Now, these links actually follow this href tag, which right now is just linking to a section of the same website that isn't currently developed. But you can see I can really put this link to anywhere. So if I like paste this YouTube link in, for example, and refresh the page, boom, now the about page links us to YouTube. So the ones we have now are with linking within the same site, but obviously that doesn't have to be the case. And also we did delete this icon, this burger icon, just for simplicity. Just turn it into an equal sign. Okay, it's basically the same thing. No one will know. Everyone cool with that? Yeah, what's up? Do you mean like yeah, yeah, you can do that. But you're probably just going to end up doing that by having it like locate to another link. And I know if you're using like certain frameworks and stuff, it will make this easier as well. But yeah, obviously you can do that. Okay. So then let's move forward. Close the door real quick. Now we're going to start with styling. So in order to get this linked up right now, by default, the styling is being imported from folders we don't have. We're not going to worry about that. Again, we're making this as simple as possible. So just delete these nested folders. and we just want a styles.css. So new file, styles.css. So now when this .html page is loaded, it will look for this file, which it will find in the same directory, and it will apply every bit of code we have in here. So here the website goes over declaring variables in CSS. I honestly, I don't know about you. I haven't found much use in like variables because a lot of times you don't like redefine them as you do in like actual code. But I guess if you are working on like large scale projects, it helps to have stuff defined as they do here. Yeah, exactly. They do have something similar here because that way you don't have to like type it out again, and you could just be like, oh, the background color. But it doesn't save you a huge amount of time or something that like it does in like actual code. I don't know. Okay, so we're pasting all the CSS in here now, and you can see why we're copy pasting here, because every little like element you have here, you sometimes will have to just like individually tweak the styles to get it to how to get it to look how you want it to. So again, like I said before, here we're declaring all these variables, which we're then using right here as such. One thing that is of note is we're actually importing, I wonder if this will work. Kind of. We're importing a font here through this import tag. And this actually allows us to use it down here because CSS, the font it comes with, it's not all inclusive. Sometimes you want something to stand out that stands out. So you can import fonts like so. One other important thing is this idea of margin and padding. So this is something that if you're new to CSS, it might be a little bit like confusing, but basically I'll demonstrate with this little equal sign here. Every, like when you type in something, right, it has a fixed like width, but you can see that the button or the hamburger doesn't just encompass that width. It actually goes a little bit wider, right? This purple part, this is the padding. So in order to make it so that there will be like space around whatever text you have, you can increase the padding, right? Make your buttons bigger without making your text bigger. Additionally, there's the margin. If you notice, this button isn't directly below the unordered list. And that's because the list actually has the margins on the top and bottom. That's the yellow part, which basically say to the button, okay, don't come within like this distance of me. And so the button says, okay, I'll just slide underneath it then. And the button has no margins. And you can see the same thing up here with the text. And obviously we're just giving all these things colors. So if we refresh, looks a lot nicer. Now you can see, right? There is no extra horizontal space on that button because we removed the padding. And additionally, all the buttons now flush next to the list because we also removed the margins. And then obviously we use the color style in order to just change the font color. And you can use these kind of like conditional tags to also change styles of a element specifically when like this conditional is triggered. For example, in this case, hovering. I don't know the exhaustive list. That is something you would just like look up if you're programming a website. But yeah, there you go. All right, everyone cool with that so far? So we just got a first intro to styling here. All right. So if you're attentive, you may have realized that none of these styles actually, which by the way, there's several ways to apply these styles. I should have gone over this. If you're just doing it like this will say, okay, this is how unordered lists apply these styles to them. You can also do it like this. Let me show you. You can give certain elements a class, and then you can do dot and then the class name. So here, like navlink. And that will edit all those elements with that specific class name. You can also do it with by ID instead. I think generally you go by class, but ID is more so also used in conjunction with JavaScript, which we'll see later. So yeah, if you want to change individual elements, that's generally how you do it. If you don't just want to adjust a certain type. Okay, let's save that. So now we're actually going to style the navbar, the part that actually encompasses all the stuff we've been currently editing. So if we just paste this in our styles, there's a lot of stuff in here, right? And there's a couple important things here. So the first is position sticky. This means that instead of just scrolling around on the page, I can't zoom enough to show, it will always stick to the top of the page, meaning that if you scroll down the site, the nav bar will always be stuck up there, which is, that's exactly what you want for a nav bar. The other thing which you will grow to love is this display flex. And so currently what's just happening is everything in the nav bar, it's just being like shoved on top of each other. But that doesn't make for a good looking site. So what flex instead does is it takes all these elements and it will distribute these in kind of like boxes almost. And by default, there's actually a flex direction property, which I think by default is row, which means everything will be arranged in a row. And you can actually change this to a column, which, as you might expect, arranges everything in a column instead. But we don't need that right now. So what we're essentially just saying is take that nav bar that encompasses everything, stick it to the top of the page, and have it spread everything out in a row, all the elements. And you might be wondering why these are together, even though these two are apart. And that's actually because when the nav gets that flex tag, it'll look for like the direct next element, which is this H1, this whole unordered list, and this button. So this entire list is shoved to the middle, essentially. It doesn't care about the like grandchildren. Stop. That go with everyone? Okay. All right. All right, and then we style a little bit further. This is, you can see, oh geez, you can see earlier that we just had like simple tags that we gave definitions to. But here what we're doing is we're saying inside the nav, when we encounter a header tag, we want it to have a certain property. I refreshed the wrong thing. And of course, like if you're inside a nav bar and you find a link and you're hovering over the link, give that link the secondary color and underline it. So there we go. Now we got a nice nav bar here. And you'll notice that the unordered list, which I mentioned before as being that element that's stuck in the middle, we actually also changed it to display flex, which means it's now also displaying all its things, all its children in a row instead of just shoving them all in a column. So that's how we get this effect here. Okay, and we do also style this burger menu. If I paste it in, it'll just disappear. Don't panic. That's because we put display none. That'll come up again later. Also, while I'm here, my name is not Jane Doe, so bam. Feel free to change your name. All right. Looks like everyone's ready. So we'll move on. So, okay, we'll actually skip all the way down. Well, actually, I'm going to skip all the way up because there is a table of contents. Till we get to, because we're actually going to continue to work on the nav bar rather than moving on to different sections. Here. So the gist of this section is right now, your site will just display what it's told to display no matter what. The website can look like this or it can look like this, right? And especially if you're using like a mobile device, maybe to see the website, you want the website to display something different so that it doesn't just look like you smushed a bunch of stuff onto a tiny screen. So the way you can do that is actually just through CSS. You can tell CSS to essentially apply different properties based on, you know, the width of the screen, for instance. So like this, for instance, and you will need to put this on the bottom because it does apply the stylings from top to bottom. So if you just put this on the top and you say, okay, apply these stylings if you're on a screen or whatever, and then it goes down and applies the broad stylings anyway, it'll just get overwritten. So you want to put this on the bottom to overwrite whatever you had being coded in before. I'll actually, oh wow, I never realized that. Yeah. Such a weird word to describe that with though, cascading. Okay, anyways, so if you see now, or what you can see now is if we place this like sub styling inside this larger styling, did it do anything? No, I guess it's not evident. We need more. Did my browser just crash? What it? Salvage it. Oh my god. It's fine. We're fine, guys. What? Wait, we're fine. All right. All right. We're fine. Okay, like I was saying, we need to add more stuff because we can't see what it's doing right now. So, okay, yes, the main thing to note here is now we're basically telling it when you have, you know, a max width, when your screen has a max width of 720 pixels, change the flex direction of the nav bar, or rather of the list in the nav bar to be a column. So like I said before, by default, the flex direction is by rows, which means it will display all of these things horizontally. But by telling it to display in like a column fashion, it'll instead display them in a column. But we have to comment this out because that's for later. Yeah, there you go. And so I should probably go over why we have these last two lines of code in and what we're actually trying to do here. We have the hamburger menu, and you can see that initially we got rid of it, right? And so the plan is we don't need a hamburger menu if all of the links are just at the top of the screen. But say you're on a smaller screen, right? And you don't have space for all those links on the top. What you can instead do is just have that little hamburger menu. And so we're trying to make it so that when you click the menu, all those projects, or all those links rather, will scroll out and scroll back in. So you can choose what you want without cluttering up the page. Okay. And obviously, on a large web page, it won't trigger this last condition, and everything will just act like it was acting before. So in that way, we're making the website dynamic. All right. All right, here's the important part. All right, we are now showing the little burger button again, this burger menu. And what we're actually doing is we're giving this, the unordered lists again, a property called show. So when show is, I guess, assigned, it will change the transform property from translating it off the screen on the X direction, because that's essentially what it's doing. It's just taking like the unordered list and it's just like shoving it off the screen so you don't see it. And it changes this to not translating it at all, which will just put it in its original position, this original position. Now the issue is the burger button does nothing. And that is where JavaScript comes in, right? Because right now we have the car assembled, right? We have a state for the list to be off to the side. We have a state for the list to be in the middle, and we have a trigger, but they're not hooked up to each other. What's up? Did you, okay, I assume you pasted this in? Did you paste it at the very bottom? You did? Okay, did you put an equal sign here? Because that's our burger is the equals. Yeah, that works. Okay, cool. Because yeah, if you just get rid of this, like the button is kind of invisible in that like only the text is visible. So there you go. Now it's gone. So I guess if anyone else is having that issue, there you go. All right. So before we move on to JavaScript, everyone cool with that? Is everyone able to get their dynamic CSS set up? You have something you're behind, say it now. Yeah, sure. And in case, I don't know if you came in late or something, but the link to this website is on the Discord, which contains all the code. Okay.
Crazy stuff with CSS. Like, you can do a lot more than this. You can like make full animation. If you look it up online, you can find CSS wizards to do like whole movie CSS. So it's really powerful.
It's the lamest type of wizard, CSS wizard. Okay, we'll start with the JavaScript then. So just like we did with the styles.css up here, we actually need to import the JavaScript file into our main HTML file as well, or link it up rather. So the way we're doing this is with this script tag at the bottom here instead of at the top. And again, just like last time, we're not doing this crazy folder structure. We're just going to make it one file, this app.js file. So if it's in the same directory as the index.html and it's named app.js, it should automatically recognize it and it should work when the HTML page is loaded. All right, so to get started with our JavaScript, we need to be able to pick out elements from the website to use in our code. And here, we're now returning the variables are back. This time they're actually useful. I don't know why I'm being so mean to the CSS variables, but essentially we're using .query selector to query essentially the index file for anything that matches these parameters. And when something is found, it'll be stored in this variable. So any change we make with this variable will occur onto any element that matches this query. And like I said before, it's like in the .tss, when you just have like these tag names here, that is just going to apply to everything that has these tags. But this like hash mark is more so oriented, or this is referring to anything that has the ID of like whatever's input. So I bet if we did a dot, it would match the class, which the burger menu also has that class. But yeah, I think in JavaScript generally, I don't know, I found IDs to be more prevalent. And keep in mind that like, since this is linked now, anything that like runs in here will now be run when your site is run. So if I do like a hello world in here and save, if you go into the console here, you can actually see what your site's outputting. Wow, look, it's telling me hello world. So you can kind of see the potential here, right? Anything that you want the script to run, it will do inside the browser. And we can use that to interact with all of the elements that are in our HTML file. Okay, enough talking. Now that we have these elements, actually, maybe I need to talk more. It seems like some people are still working. We can move on to adding event listeners. So I think if you ever took like, was it like AP-CSP? They had something similar to this, I think, where you essentially could add like listeners to certain events, to certain elements, where, for example, this one's saying on this burger, so anything with the ID burger menu in the index.html file, whenever it's clicked, run this function. And all this does is for the unordered lists, it will toggle, yeah, it'll toggle this show attribute, which translates, turns transform into like a translation of 0 as opposed to a translation of 120%, which just shoves it off the screen. So whenever the burger is clicked, take the unordered list and translate it back on screen, show it. So right now, the unordered list is off the screen. And if we click it, boom, it translates back to being on the page. And since this is a toggle, we can actually like spam click it and it will work. It'll turn both on and off. Survey. I love surveys. And please remember, all the code is on the website. So you don't have to strain your neck looking up if you don't need, if you don't have to, which you don't have to. So I'll just show some code here, I suppose. Oh, there's nothing to show. And by the way, all of these like links here, they redirect, you can actually see it here, to like subparts of the page, which are like shown by these tags. We don't have anything set up right now because none of these sections exist, but you will see, hopefully you should be able to see it later when you click them. It will like scroll to the correct section of the page. All right. And another issue is that when we click one of these, we do also want it to automatically get rid of the hamburger menu, because you've gone where you want to go. Dude, I can't talk. So obviously more JavaScript is needed to do that. We are looking for all of the elements that have the class name, which we use the dot to select, the class name navlink, which are these four. And we're adding an event listener, which when it's clicked, just remove the show like class on the unordered list, just like we were toggling it on and off before. We're just getting rid of it here. And this allows us, when one of these is clicked, it'll just push it back off to the side. Also note that you do have to use a for each, because there are several links. So essentially you want to be listening for every single link to make sure that it will work no matter which one you click. We need a few minutes, or are we caught up? Raise your hand if you still need some time. One hand. One hand's enough. Okay. So we will be going back to HTML now, because this navbar is completely finished. And it's okay, because the best part is all of our work is completely useless on pages that aren't just tiny screens. So, that's cool. But now we can actually use it effectively while having it docked off to the side here. All right. So the one thing that's essential for any portfolio website, it's where you talk about yourself. And this is also the most fun part, because who doesn't love to talk about themselves? So back to the copy and pasting. What we do here is we just make our own section that, look at this, it has an ID of about, right? Remember, IDs are referenced with the hash symbol. What is this thing called? It's not a hashtag. A what? Pound sign. So, okay, yeah. Essentially now this link, this about link, is hooked up to somewhere else on the web page, because right now this is leading to anywhere with an ID of about, and we've just inserted that section. Yeah, I don't think it's gonna scroll. It's not big enough yet. But again, this is similar. We're putting in an image, and then we're putting in a div, which is just a container with a header. The H2 is smaller than the H1, and a paragraph, which is P. Now, one thing to note is that you don't see an image here. And that's because there's nothing in this assets images folder with this name, right? We don't even have an assets images folder. So instead, what it's doing is it's just like deferring to this alternate text, which is just Jane Doe. So it's just showing the text here instead of an actual image. But what we can do is we can literally just grab an image from Google. So person images. Boom. If we take the link, it doesn't have to be local. We can literally have it reference another image on the internet. Oh, geez, it's a long link. It's fine. We'll just shove it over there. If we refresh, it doesn't work. That is probably, well, if I had to guess, it would be because it's redirecting through Google. Okay, this image does not work. The rock. Oh, yeah. Let's try this one. Oh, this isn't the same one. Same thing, I think. Dude, I feel so dumb. There we go. Okay. It's okay. It's a happy accident. Now I can become the rock. Okay, yeah, that's why it was so long, because it was just doing the linking through Google. Okay. Oh, geez. Okay, wait, now I can actually look. It scrolled down a tiny bit. You can see it's working. Trust, trust. All right. So this is me. I know. I lost a lot of weight. Okay, cool. So yeah, as you can see here, we have the image, we have the header and the text. It's ugly. That's because we don't have CSS. Right now we got this. All right. So we got to inject it with CSS now, which is, did I miss something? No. Boom. This is going to be pasted. Nope, not in there. Remember to paste it above here, because in case we make it dynamic in any way, we want this to apply after these. Most important thing, again, display flex. Yeah, this will mean that it displays them in a horizontal fashion rather than vertically as it does now. And note that in the index, there's actually only two children. The header and the paragraph are grouped together under this div, which means that only like these two will be separated horizontally, like so. All right, we're getting somewhere. And they also put this goofy animation in there. All right. So yeah, Rock is he's very dominant right now. He's a big guy. So yeah, he's taking the whole page. It's time to restrain him a little bit by styling the image as well. And basically we're just saying, okay, in Hero, if you find an image, cap it to these specifications. We're also giving it like a nice shadows. We're giving borders, yada, yada, you know, all the fun stuff. And now, oh man, he's looking a little worse for wear. We got a nice box here. Poor guy. There you go. He's still so big. That looks better on the larger page. Yeah, there you go. I guess, yeah, we haven't made it dynamic yet, so we do want it to look different again on this large page. Then we do on a small page. Right, maybe not that different. Maybe shrink them down a little bit still. Okay, everyone cool with this part? You don't have to use the rock, obviously. I get to use the rock because I'm so cool. Anyway. Yeah, we styled all our stuff here. You can see it looks vaguely like how it does on the page. They actually didn't put like, I feel like I would have wanted like a margin top here, like a little bit. So you can actually like, I don't know, give the site some breathing room. It might just be me though. Feel free to do whatever you want to your page. I'm not your dad. Okay. Awesome. So that's this part done. And yeah, there's like a bunch of stuff that you can do with like CSS and HTML. Like right here, if I say I can give this a border radius, right? Oh my God. Of 10 pixels. What does that do? It will like round the image a little bit. So like, you know, it's limitless. It's only bounded by your capacity, like Google, whatever you might need in the CSS, you can do it on your web page. And yeah, I feel like this is a lot of Googling, honestly. It's like it's just like there's a bajillion different commands you can have. All right, so I guess next most important thing, you've highlighted yourself. Now the bread and butter of, you know, your CS career, besides the actual career, your projects. Okay, so this is a lot of code right now. It's okay. Close your eyes, paste it in. We'll work through it step by step. Just skip all of this stuff. There you go. All right. So obviously we have this overarching projects section, which this can link to because it has an ID of projects. We have a header. And then we have these, okay, and then we have a container, another container for all the projects. And then we have these little cards, which are just essentially copy and pastes of one another. And each of these cards includes an image, another header, again, H3, smaller than H2, which is smaller than H1, and a paragraph and a link. No CSS, so you can imagine that when we refresh, it's pretty ugly. But you can kind of see what you've set up here, right? You have this big header, and then, yeah, again, this isn't recognized, so it's just throwing in this right now, this like little placeholder text, a header, a paragraph with details of the project, and then a link, which doesn't work. Oh, that's interesting. And so the useful thing about this though is we have like all this HTML, but because of the fact that we've given all of these divs the same class, we write the CSS for one of them, it'll be applied to all of them. And you will be able to see that here in just a second. I don't know who's still working, but. All right. This is just basic styling, I think, for now. What's this? This does actually squish down the pictures, which means I can actually put one in. Oh, yeah. Again, display flex. Everything's shoved in horizontally now. And everything's also like placed very centrally within this box. And because I want images, but I'm too lazy to look for images that actually relate to all of this, I am just going to put the rock in as all my projects. Bam. Bam. Oh, geez. He might still be too big. Let's see. Oh, no, there he is. Wow, I'm loving this website already. All right. I gotta sneeze. No, I don't. Cool. Everyone good? Everyone caught up? Everyone ready? Let's see. Oh. Scrolling it. Okay, we'll finish the projects. And we don't even have to do.
Super easy.
When do we have
Like,
until?
just put
Oh, shoot.
repo.
We have 5 minutes? Oh, geez, what am I doing? All right, everyone, copy and paste like the world's ending. Boom, paste. Restyling project titles. Hooray. We're giving everything padding to shove it closer together. Wonderful. More stuff. Dum-dum-dum. We're giving the cards their own background colors and their own borders and shadows and whatnot. Wow, now they look very pretty. Okay, there we go. Phil, if you want to do this now, there is a section that I was going to do about like the dynamic or making the projects dynamic, because right now if it's on a small screen, or we didn't even make the hero section dynamic, then yeah, further down, you can make it so that it will detect it like it does with this. And it will like, when the screen is shrunk, it'll like put this about me section like on the bottom below the image, and it'll shove the projects to be displayed in like a column instead of a row, so that they're actually readable when the screen is this thin. But if you wanted to,
You want? I'll share my screen.
all right, we're getting a special guest presentation here real quick. It doesn't let you share your screen. Okay, let's see. That's probably because I am sharing. Don't leave the meeting. Stop the share. Does it work now? Okay.
So yeah, if you just deploy your code to GitHub, you can go to this section here called pages, and then it'll give you this link, and then it automatically deploys it. So it's actually super easy and it's free. So for example, this project I have right here, 12th century, it's like the same thing you guys just learned. The index by HTML file, the CSS file, and obviously there's a JavaScript file, but not in this project.
We're cooler.
And then go to pages, and yeah, I think you usually deploy from branch to name and then save, and then you just give it a minute, it'll load, and it'll give you something like this. So yeah, you could literally push the code you just worked on right now, and then you'd have your own deployed website.
Tweak it a little bit. Yeah, I think with like a student GitHub account, it also gives you like unlimited project web pages. I haven't messed with that yet. Which I don't know. I think that's really cool. What's up? So you'll just need to push it up to GitHub. So it'll like automatically, I think from what I remember, it'll automatically detect like whenever there's a push onto the GitHub repo, and it'll take those like most updated files and like put it onto the website. So as long as you're making changes and pushing them up to GitHub, it'll do the rest for you, and your website will get updated.
If you want to see how it's working, go to GitHub Actions. And this is what's happening in the background. Like they just basically set it up for you. So this is like continuous integration, continuous deployment. You can learn more about that in your other classes, but it's, yeah, so apparently it's finished. So then we go here, go back to pages, and then I have this code here. This is from a hackathon. But yeah, it's like so easy. You literally click like 2 buttons and you deploy your website.
Yeah, I think one thing to note is like if you're using like a React or something, like frameworks, it doesn't support like animated or like that sort of stuff.
HTML file.
Yeah, but if you're just using like HTML and CSS or whatever, like, we were, push it up to GitHub and you'll be able to send a link to your site to anyone. So that's fun. All right. Yeah, if you want to like follow along with the rest of the website, there's stuff like skills sections, about me sections, obviously all stuff you'd want to share with people interested in looking at your website. So if you want to, again, you know how to push it up now, hopefully. If not, you can get in touch still, that's fine. And yeah, you can expand this to your heart's content. And I think it looks pretty professional. So give yourself a pat on the back. All you have to do is copy paste someone else's code. But that's being a CS major.
Or you could have ChatGPT. Last workshop, you could have ChatGPT write a bunch of HTML. It's actually not that bad.
It was pretty bad. Well, hold on. That was a year ago. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I was honestly like I was thinking of logging into like GitHub on this computer and like trying Copilot.
Thanks.
What's up?
Coming out. Movie night next week.
Oh yeah, movie night next week, Tuesday, 6 o'clock. Wixie programming team. It'll be fun.
Sorry.